It is the Flipping and Wholesaling in New York show. So I'm trying to go live every day. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm trying. So we're doing do's and don'ts today about a few topics that people have asked about. So a couple of things. First of all, it's important when working on deals. I'm working on a short sale now with a student. There's some challenges involved. There was tax lien that we have to deal with, and these are the kind of things that the truth is, a title company sometimes can help you, sometimes can't. An attorney sometimes can help you, sometimes can't. So I think it's important if you are doing deals to have somebody to help you go through the challenges that happen in any deal, especially in short sales. Short sales are complicated. I didn't do short sales for a long time, but they're starting to come a little better. And I think that soon we're going to have a lot more short sales, but we'll see when that happens. Also, we have a RIA group, a Nassau County RIA, a Real Estate Investors Association. We meet virtually now twice a month. We met twice a month before COVID live. Once a month we met in Valley Stream, and once a month we met at a property that I was doing. So we can't do that now, but we are meeting virtually. So the next one, it's Thursday the 23rd. If you're interested, there'll be a link below. Also, if you like these videos, please click like. The 7 ways that can help you if you want to get into wholesaling or rehabbing in New York. If you're watching on Facebook is above. If you're watching on YouTube is below. Please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and share, comment. All comments get answered. If you have any requests for videos you want me to do, I'll be happy to deal with any topics. So we're going to do with the number one do and number one don't of driving for dollars today. And it's very popular amongst people because it's relatively inexpensive, right? You drive around, you see a property that looks like it's dilapidated, and you think that could be a lead. So the number one do is you have to do research on the property. In New York, there was a period of time where I had a bunch of people driving for me, and I really thought this was going to be a source of great deals, and it didn't. I had about 600 properties. None of them were good leads, and I'll tell you why. You need to do research, and I've done videos on how to do research in Nassau, in Suffolk, and in the 5 boroughs. You have to do research to see what's going on with the property. So what I found on most dilapidated properties is that they fall into one of 4 categories that don't help you. The first is that they're already bank owned, so they went to auction and the bank bought it. The second is that another investor bought it already, so that's obviously not a deal for you. If the bank owns it, it's not a deal for you either. Do not bother negotiating with the bank. They're going to just list it. They might fix it up and list it. The third category is that they're so deep underwater, right? They had like a property, let's say, that has a value of $500,000, and there's a mortgage for $700,000 that went delinquent 10 years ago. It probably now has a balance of over $1 million. That it's going to be very hard to even negotiate a short sale. And the fourth category I found, which also doesn't help you, is it has a reverse mortgage on it. A lot of the properties that are out there had reverse mortgages on it, and that's a really difficult situation because you don't know what the balance is. Right? If you have a regular mortgage on it, I can see what the balance was when you took it out, and I can get an idea of when you went bad, and if there's a list pendants on it, I can get an idea of how much you owe. But on a reverse mortgage, you don't know. I'm one of the few people I think who understand how reverse mortgages work. The reverse mortgage, they recorded huge numbers, but that didn't mean that that was the balance on it. They recorded 150% of whatever the total maximum amount was. So if it was $400,000, they're going to record a mortgage for $600,000. But the balance could have been zero because there were options on reverse mortgage on how you took the money. You could take nothing. It's very rare. You could also take monthly payments. You could take a line of credit. There were all kinds of things. So it's hard. So that could be something to go to. The problem is you'll never get any information from the reverse mortgage servicer. And it's also hard to find a reverse mortgage servicer. From what I've seen, unless you have a lot of time and you really have contact with an heir who can get information from the servicer, usually reverse mortgage is a rabbit hole that's not going to get you anything. First, and many of the times, even if you could get the information, the balance might be way too high anyway. Now, the lender does not own the property with reverse mortgage, as many people think they do, and you could hit a home run if you find an heir and the balance isn't high, and the heir thinks the property is owned by the lender, because a lot of people have the misconception that on a reverse mortgage, the lender takes the property, which is not the case. So you can go back to that heir and you could say, hey, what I would say is, if I can get you $20,000 on this property, are you okay with me buying it? And but again, there's a lot of steps to get there to find out what is owed and figure out if this is working, if it's worth pursuing. The number one don't when it comes to driving for dollars is don't send out mail to them unless you've done the research first. So I used a good service called Deal Machine. There's a bunch of places, Sendfuse, all kinds of these driving for dollars services. and you take a property, take a picture, you send out mail to the owner. It sounds great, but if you didn't do the research and it's already bank owned, or it's already owned by another investor, or it's so far underwater that a short sale is going to be too difficult or hard, then or even if it's a reverse mortgage, it's probably not a good thing to send out mail to, and they put you on a list where it's going to be sent out many times. So don't send out mail to a driving for dollars property until you do the research. I know I said that with the do's and don'ts, I wouldn't do like the converse. In this case, it really is a big deal. You got to do the research. Maybe I'll put links in there to the screencasts I've done showing how to do research. I have one definitely for 5 boroughs on Acris, and I have one in NASA. Maybe I'll put links if you want to see. But you got to look at who the owner is. You got to check the most recent deed. You got to check mortgages that were recorded on it. You got to see it, because a lot of these properties, just because they're vacant or dilapidated, does not mean that it's a deal. Very often they are not deals if they fall into any of the categories I mentioned before. So do the research. Don't send out mail to driving for dollars property until you've done the research. That's really the do or the number one do and number one don't. So another thing I want to talk about is that you got to get your systems in place when you're running a business. A lot of people that are in the rehabbing or wholesaling business, especially in New York, do not put systems in place. And I had to really revamp some of my systems lately because I wasn't getting things done. The system is really all about a process. If you want to grow a business, you have to automate or delegate. But even if you're a solopreneur, you might want to automate or delegate some parts of the process so that you can get the system in place to do it right. A lot of people treat this business like a hobby, and they don't track their numbers, and they don't put systems in place. If you want to be successful in this business, you have to put systems in place. And it's been true for me and for anyone that's doing it. So just to recap, driving for dollars seems like a great thing. I think in other parts of the country, these properties can get sort of lost, and then you find them and they're great. But by us, I found that you got to do the research and see what the story is. If they are in any of those 4 categories, if they're already bought by a lender, goodbye. If it's bought by another investor, goodbye. If it's so far deep underwater that a short sale is not even going to work, goodbye. And if it's a reverse mortgage, it may or may not be worth even looking into. So if it falls into those categories, do the research. Don't send out mail until you do the research. I'll try and put links in so that you can see how I do the research. But those are the do's and don'ts of driving for dollars in New York.